What you say as a leader really has impact. It really matters. The words we use matter. Why? Because people are listening. Even if you don't feel like it but you're a leader, what you are really is a role model. And it's important to avoid using leadership phrases that lead you and your people down this wrong path, or even worse, they discredit your leadership. Because words have a way of doing that at times. Today on the Champion Forum podcast, I'm going to take a look at some leadership phrases that I recommend that you stop using right away. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I was recently in an executive coaching meeting, and I had a client disclose to me that they didn't feel like they were being taken seriously. And this led to a lack of leadership confidence that they were battling against. I started talking through this with them, but I started talking to them mostly about words and how words create impact, and how some words or phrases are assertive in nature while others are passive in nature. Now, by no means am I an advocate of being over dominant or aggressive, but I do feel like there's a healthy balance in being an assertive leader, and our words have impact as it relates to this assertiveness. I gave them one thing to try, and based off of their profound excitement in this revelation with my perspective, I decided I was going to share it on my Instagram story. So here I am, given this scenario and what took place, and I give this same teaching on my Instagram story, and I have to tell you that the number of comments that I received in my Instagram DMs was a bit overwhelming. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to take this to an episode. So I'm going to talk to you all today about the impact of our words. And how these words can have such an impact on other people, and how to have these words make bigger impact for us on our behalf so that we can communicate on a deeper level as leaders. There's times so often when we find ourselves in different situations where we have the ability and the opportunity to carefully craft every single word that we put together, whether it's a company-wide email, it could be a proposal or a contract that you're presenting to a client. Maybe it's even a press release. But when we're more relaxed, we speak effortlessly, and we forget most of what we're saying within minutes. We don't always get this luxury to have these well-crafted documents and, perfect paragraphs and the right words in the right place. And sometimes when we get a little bit more relaxed, we just talk off of our mind. It just rolls out. And we often underestimate the impact that maybe this casual but yet common phrases can have on other people. And most often, if you're saying phrases that aren't appropriate, you're not even realizing it, and you've picked it up from somebody else. But what we know is that words matter. The way that they're said absolutely matters. But the most important thing is the way they're interpreted. I believe that matters most above all things. How is what you're saying being interpreted? So I'm going to begin with the feedback that I gave this client. This one that was lacking a little bit of leadership confidence, felt a little bit discredited. The feedback that I gave her was to stop saying, "I just wanted." And I asked her the question, do you ever find yourself saying this? And I gave several examples to her, but this was the one that really stood out. Think about this. I just wanted to follow up on XYZ. Instead of saying that, say, I'm following up on XYZ. Take out the "I just wanted." I just wanted to check in and see if you had made a decision. No. Instead say, I'm calling to see if a decision has been made. You see, this small shift in how you deliver this verbiage goes from this passive nature, some would maybe even say weak-minded, to this assertive. Nowhere in this is aggressive and dominant and overbearing, but this small shift in how you approach your words, it matters. I just wanted, to see if, hey, does this make sense? Does this make sense to you as you're hearing this? And this is the conversation I'm having with this leader. Are we presenting ourselves as passive? And when I'm having this conversation with her, I could see the light bulbs going off as I'm giving her this different verbiage. Just this one thing stood out to her most. Instead of saying, hey, I just wanted, we're just going to switch that up. We're going to eliminate that, and we're going to go through it a different way. What other small shifts maybe are you doing that could make a big impact on you? I want to give you a few more, because this assertiveness is so critical in leadership impact. Passive leaders just aren't respected. And if you are one, you're probably liked, but you're not respected. Aggressive leaders are the dominant ones, and they're just simply avoided. Stay out of their way. If you see them coming, run. But it's the assertive leaders that are followed. So I'm going to give you a few more assertive phrases that I think might help you, or if maybe some phrases to avoid that might help you as well. And I thought about the list of these, and the next one that I want to share with you is this: I don't want to step on anyone's toes. When I hear leaders say this, I cringe. And I've been in plenty of board meetings and Zoom calls and you name it. I help a lot of clients with cutting edge change, organizational change. Nowhere in the script do I ever tell a leader to open up with the new company policy with, hey, everyone, I just want you to know before I begin, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. That is weak-minded leadership. It's important to be respectful. If you're saying this, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, what you're trying to do is be respectful and maybe even empathetic. So I'm not hating you for it. But this phrase can make a leader seem overly cautious or unwilling to assert authority when authority and assertiveness is necessary. And then how is this interpreted by the team? It's probably interpreted as a lack of leadership strength. And what we know about effective leadership is that you will need to step on some toes. We know this. Think about every leader that has had the biggest impact on you. Didn't they step on a few toes? Didn't they make you a little bit uncomfortable? I'm not saying overbearing. I'm not saying make people bleed. But there needs to be a level of discomfort for growth. Great leaders are respectful, but they're also firm. Stop saying, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. It's not helping you. The next one is, I'm just the messenger. Man alive. I know you're probably hearing this right now and you're saying, oh my gosh, I've said this so many times. You're not alone. This was something that I used to say as well. Hey, I'm just the messenger. This is especially popular with mid-level management. Mid-level managers use this more than anybody else. Your organization's upper leadership just announced a new initiative that you'll be responsible for sharing with your team. You're already dreading making the announcement to the team because you know they're not going to like it. Sound familiar? Have you been there? I know I have been there. This phrase, however, when you say I'm just a messenger, it distances you from your responsibility. It distances you from accountability. And this makes you appear as though you lack control over decisions and actions. And look, maybe you do. Maybe senior leadership is just ramming this downward. And I get that. But I'm just a messenger is making you look weak. Even if you're not fully on board with the initiative, resist the temptation to throw senior leadership under the bus. This comes off very immature and unprofessional and will certainly discredit you as a leader. You should never communicate a message to your team unless you understand what's behind it and can present it as everybody's decision. I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but you do at some point have to get behind it. If you constantly talk to your team about, someone decided something and we have to live with it kind of tone, then you are the one who is spoiling the mood on the team. You're already setting us up to fail before we even begin. And this is not giving you brownie points with the team. What you're hoping is to get the rally cry from your team, and now it's us versus the senior leadership. And I just want to be the popular leader and get the popular vote. This is not helping your brand. As a leader, one of the areas that you can bring the biggest value to your team is helping them make sense of the world around them. It's not always going to be great news. It's not always going to be initiatives that you agree with, but you have to find a foundation to get behind it and support it and own it at the front line. This will help credit you as a leader. The next one is, that's not the way we do it here. Uh-oh. Now, this is especially popular with very tenured leaders that have been in the same company a long time. And I'll go a step further with this. Not only have you been in the company a long time, but your track record of success is elite. And I mean, you have a lot of trophies in the trophy case. And I understand that what you've been doing for the last several decades has been amazing. But what if there was a better way? Just think with me, as crazy as it might sound. What if there was a better way? What we know about successful leaders is that they're passionate about innovation. They're ready to disrupt. They're ready to make change at all times. When you say things like this, that's not the way we do it here, it shows that you're not open. And you're definitely not for out-of-the-box type of thinking. You're not for innovation. Even if you disagree with someone's idea, and they say the craziest thing that you've ever heard, and they will at times. Instead of saying that, say, wow, that's an interesting idea. Maybe you say, tell me more. How would that work? Or, wow, that's a different approach that we've never thought of before. Let's discuss the pros and cons of that. You know what you're doing? Even if you think what they're saying is the most heinous, craziest thing you've ever heard, what you're telling them is, instead of saying that's not how we do it here and just shutting people down, you're saying I'm open to collaboration. I'm open to new ways of thinking. The next one is this one, and this is a favorite of mine. I don't want to be pushy, but. Have you ever found yourself saying this? And this one's really popular when a leader has to confront a very aggressive employee. You know that one employee that no matter what you say, you feel like they're ready to snap at all times? Like you give them one more thing to do, like add 1 minute of work to their day and they're just going to erupt. Have you ever had somebody like that on your team? Maybe it's just me. I know I have. And you feel like constantly when you're around them, you're walking on thin ice, and the best thing to do is nothing, because you don't want to fear the eruption that's coming. And so we just say, I don't want to be pushy, but, because we feel like that might soften the blow. Saying I don't want to be pushy can indicate that you're unsure about your own judgment or the importance of the task that you're about to hand out. Confidence is the key in leadership. Because what does confidence do? Let's think about this on a deeper level. It reassures the team that they're on the right path. That's what confident leadership does. Saying something like this, it suggests that you're overly concerned with avoiding conflict. You're tiptoeing around the tough personalities on the team. You're not willing to embrace discomfort. And what's that viewed as from everybody watching on? The onlookers are saying, this is a sign of weakness. That is happening. If you're saying things like this, it is perceived as weak. Leaders sometimes need to push for results. That's our job. That's what we do. Even if it means creating some tension. Tension isn't necessarily bad. Conflict necessarily isn't bad. And you don't have to go from passive to aggressive and say, I've had enough. I'm just going to start beating people into submission. There's a right way to do this. Maybe instead of saying, I don't want to be pushy, you could say, listen, this is a priority and I need your focus on it. This approach, that's not aggressive in nature. By the way, you can use your leadership tone and use your personality, but the words that you say, they matter. This is a priority and I need your focus on it. This approach, what are we doing? We're maintaining our authority, one, but we're also giving great clarity, and we're giving it the urgency that it needs, that is required to lead effectively. The key here, when you have to go into a tough conversation like this is to make meaningful deposits way before you have to have a tough conversation. Make these deposits every day as a leader. When you make big deposits, you earn the right to make the big withdrawals that are inevitable in leadership. When I look back at the leaders that I have respected the most, they were the ones that struck this amazing balance between tough-minded leadership, but also being tender-hearted at the same time. Think back to the leaders that you've had that have had the biggest impact on you. Were they tough-minded? Were they tender-hearted? I'll bet they also struck this balance. I'm here to tell you it's possible. And I'm here to tell you by changing some of your verbiage and maybe some of the phrases that aren't benefiting you, you can be well on your way to assertive as well. Using this language that conveys confidence, it conveys responsibility and proactiveness, it's crucial for inspiring trust and respect from the people that you're leading. Avoiding some phrases like the ones we've talked about today, it's going to help you project strength and decisiveness, which, can't we agree, strength and decisiveness, these are qualities for effective leadership, aren't they? What are some other phrases that you would add to this list? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Email me, info@jeffhancher.com. Until next week, choose your words carefully and keep turning the pressure into potential.